The Democrats caved. The Democrats caved. What are you? I have tried to calm down so many times to record this video, but Senate Democrats, it's official. They are actually voting with Senate Republicans to reopen the government and got absolutely nothing from the longest government shutdown in history.
What was even the point of the government shutdown if Democrats are just going to give Republicans what they want, which is making healthcare premiums skyrocket? What was the point of so many people suffering all across this nation for so many days if Democrats are just not going to keep the backbone that we thought that they all had gathered in the last 40 days?
The entire Democratic leadership and anyone in the Democratic Party that votes for this shit should be fucking primaried and voted out immediately.
And all of the Democratic senators that are gonna vote yes, you guys can kiss my ass as well. I'm gonna stay on your neck every fucking day. You no good son of a bitches. I'm gonna leave some very nasty voicemails to your offices as well. You no good son of a bitches.
You cannot leverage the government failing to do things for constituents because they do not care. They don't care if Americans die, starve. They don't care if children are sick. They don't care. They just don't care.
The Senate just took a major step in ending the longest government shutdown in history. Now, I want to be very clear. It is a long way from being over, but what just happened tonight is a significant step forward, and we could see the end of this government shutdown by the middle of this week. 3 important things you need to understand. First and foremost, no, ACA, Affordable Care Act subsidies, are not part of the deal to reopen the government. 2, we are going to be right back here in another government shutdown at the end of January in just 2 months. And 3, the filibuster will stay intact in the Senate. So let's talk about the progress that was made tonight. Final vote was 60 to 48 Democrats joined the Republicans and voted yes. They are Senators Durbin of Illinois, Kaine of Virginia, Shaheen of New Hampshire, Hassan of New Hampshire, Cortez Masto and Rosen of Nevada, Fetterman of Pennsylvania, and the independent Senator Angus King of Maine. Here's what this deal includes. Number 1, reopen the government with a continuing resolution. Important, this is not the same continuing resolution passed by the House in September. The deal that will likely pass the Senate will expire instead on January 30th. So setting up a brand new government shutdown for January 30th. The House version would have expired on November 21st. So if this deal passes, both the House and the Senate, all federal workers will go back to work and get paid, and essential workers who have been working throughout this shutdown will get back pay. 2, this plan would fully fund SNAP and WIC benefits for the rest of the fiscal year, which is through September of 2026. 3, it blocks President Trump from going through with any more federal worker layoffs until January 30th. And it reverses the thousands of layoffs that Trump already pushed through, dating back to the beginning of this government shutdown, which is October 1st. So all of those thousands of workers who have been let go since the government shutdown started will get their jobs back. And 4, Senate Majority Leader John Thune has promised that he will give Senate Democrats a vote on the Senate floor to extend Affordable Care Act subsidies before the second week of December. But here's the catch. That doesn't mean it's a guarantee that it will pass. It just means it's a vote. And here's the thing. The vast majority of Democrats hate this deal, including most of the House Democrats and the House Minority Leader who says he's going to fight it. They're all pissed off. Why? Well, if by some miracle the ACA subsidies do pass in the Senate with 60 votes, which is a long shot, House Speaker Mike Johnson has not promised to do anything. So if the ACA subsidy bill miraculously passes the Senate, Speaker Johnson could very well not allow it to go to the House floor for a vote. As for what's next, in the Senate, there will be several more votes before this deal can be passed and then sent over the House. And then the House is going to have to pass it too. But don't forget, they've been on recess for almost 2 months. So it's going to take them a day or two to even get back to Washington, D.C. Then there will be a vote, and hopefully the shutdown can end by the middle of this week.
Holy cow, folks. Multiple sources are reporting that the Senate has reached an agreement to end the longest government shutdown in history. However, it does not include an extension on the Affordable Care Act's enhanced subsidies. Therefore, when they expire, we are going to see health insurance premiums rise by hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for millions of Americans, making health insurance unaffordable for many people. Now, Republicans have promised to hold a vote on extending the ACA subsidies at a later date, but I have no hope that they're actually going to vote in favor of passing these subsidies because President Trump is not in favor of this. He has spent the last 10 plus years trying to dismantle the Affordable Care Act without having any plan to replace it with anything that is viable. On the other hand, this deal will bring back many federal workers who were fired under President Trump and have some measures in place to prevent him from taking such actions in the future, but I'm not sure how many people this is going to affect. I have to say personally that this is a mixed bag because many people are hurting during this government shutdown. Many people are going to go hungry with these issues related to SNAP benefits. Air travel has been a mess in many parts of the country. And so we do need to get the government back running, but I'm very afraid of what's going to happen to millions of people who are going to likely lose their health insurance in the near future.
Go ahead and purge the Democratic Party. It's time to get these spineless ass little bitches out of the fucking government. AOC, it's time to primary Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer, you old ass, no good son of a bitch. We know why you voted no. We're not fucking stupid. We can see that there are only two things that could have happened. You orchestrated this deal in the background and you're going to pretend as though you had nothing to do with it and you can absolve yourself by voting no, which no, fuck that. Or two, you're just a weak ass little bitch that we know you to be. You're the Senate Minority Leader of the Democratic Caucus. You are supposed to put these motherfuckers in their place and present a united front whenever they do something that is not in the best interest of the American people and ultimately the Democratic Party. Voting no on this or allowing people to simply reopen the government for the promise of a vote, not even any sort of guarantee. Mike Johnson has said that they're not going to do it in the House. So I don't know what the fuck you think you're doing. You're such a dumbass piece of shit. And all of the Democratic senators that are going to vote yes, you guys can kiss my ass as well. I'm going to stay on your neck every fucking day. You no good son of a bitches. I'm going to leave some very nasty voicemails to your offices as well. You no good son of a bitches. The Democratic Party doesn't deserve any money or any donations. These spineless ass cowards are always on their fucking knees begging for donations when they can't even do the bare minimum and stand up when we ask them to do it. They folded after a month. What was the fucking point then? You said it was about healthcare, but you folded for nothing. I'm of the opinion now, burn the entire Democratic Party down. Everybody deserves to get primaried. Everybody deserves to lose their seat. These people are fucking useless.
The government shutdown might be ending tonight. And if this is all they got, is a promise to vote on healthcare, then Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, the entire Democratic leadership, and anyone in the Democratic Party that votes for this shit should be fucking primaried and voted out immediately. Truly astonishing how the Democrats just cannot read the fucking room. They just can't do it. They're incapable of reading the room. So, primary any fucking person. Chuck Schumer, you're gone. Hakeem Jeffries, get the fuck out. You guys are so fucking stupid. Silver lining would be that Mike Johnson would then have to swear in Adelita Grijalva, and that would trigger the files to be released. So I'm just trying, folks. I'm trying to find the little sliver because Democrats are fucking worthless. So at least maybe we get the files finally. I don't fucking know. It also goes for Kathy Hochul, the New York governor. She'd primary her too, because she's been running her mouth. Fuck her.
I am so sick and tired of establishment Democrats thinking that they can trust Republicans on literally anything. Literally anything. It's like they saw all of the momentum from the elections last week and said, we got to put a stop to that. We had too much winning going on for one night. We got to stop that. Like, it makes no sense. And they are 100% being bought off. And these are the same people that are so fucking terrified of Zoran Mamdani. Meanwhile, they can't even fight for healthcare for their own people. They can't even sit there and point out the fact that the SNAP contingency fund was there. And the president is openly flouting the courts and going to the highest courts in the land to get out of what he was already court ordered to do. Feed the people. And instead, you've got these establishment fucking Democrats that are going off of a promise to vote on these subsidies when you know all of those motherfuckers are going to vote no on it anyway. Every single one of these establishment Democrats just signed their own death certificate tonight for their political career. And I hope that every single one of them is replaced with a Zoran Mamdani type. Because I'm over it. I'm over it.
So after the giant blue wave crashes against the red MAGA shores last Tuesday, giving Democrats surprising victories all across the country, from Mamdani in New York City to Proposition 50 here in my home state of California, Democrats reaching for more inclusive, more progressive policies actually win. Even in Mississippi, the good people there voted to end the Republican supermajority, which may not sound like a big deal, but it's a big deal. So what is the lesson that moderate Senate Democrats learn from this? Is it that they should not be so moderate and that they should aim higher and more inclusive? Nope. 8 Democratic senators just voted to vote Republicans to end the shutdown without including the healthcare subsidies. That means I think most Americans will have their healthcare costs double. Go up by 114%. More than double. Or were they just jealous of all those Mamdani headlines and memes? Getting jealous of Gavin Newsom. Vote them all out. Write them down. Vote them all out. Vote them all out.
It looks like we have an end to the government shutdown. However, these are the 8 Democratic elected officials that sold you out. No affordable care tax credits right now. Democrats got nothing. Democrats got nothing except for a promise to discuss affordable health care tax credits in December. So, ladies and gentlemen, that means you will be paying double, triple your affordable care credits because you're enrolling now. It's already too late. You're enrolling now. The plans end December 31st. So here are the 8 Democrats who sold you down the river: Vermont, Arizona, Michigan, New Hampshire, and Wisconsin. If you have an elected official, a Democrat, that sold you down the river and got absolutely nothing, they got 0 for selling you down the river, drop your comments below. Boost this post.
Y'all want to hear some fucked up news? 8 Democrats caved last night, and now the shutdown is over. With a bipartisan agreement that reopens the federal government, prevents further layoffs, and keeps critical programs running, like SNAP benefits, through next September. Now, the measure known as Minibus provides full-year funding through next September, while maintaining spending levels through the government till January 30th. Now here's the fucking kicker. The final deal does not contain the ACA. So the Affordable Care Act and its premiums can still go up. Let me give you the list of motherfuckers that caved. Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois. Senator Angus King of Maine. Senator Catherine Cortez Masato, I hope I said that right, of Nevada. Senator Jackie Rosen of Nevada. John Fetterman's ass from Pennsylvania. Senator Tim Kaine of Virginia, Senator Jeanne Shaheen, and Senator Maggie Hassan of New Hampshire. And 1 Republican voted no, Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky. Most of these senators I mentioned are up for re-election in 2028 and 2030. We're getting their asses out. They've got to fucking go. Wish I had better news. I'm sorry, y'all. Let's see what happens in December.
The Fetterman I voted for.
Fetterman sided with socialists, backed a government takeover of healthcare, embraced parts of the Green New Deal that had cost you $50,000 a year. Fetterman said Democrats need to be ruthless. Bernie Sanders calls Fetterman an outstanding progressive. Fetterman admits he'll always vote with Democrats. In this economy, that's the last thing we need.
The Fetterman we got. I know at this point John Fetterman is arguably the least shocking Democrat to capitulate to Republicans, but still, as a Pennsylvanian and a Pittsburgher, it never stops feeling like a slap in the face. He just continues to turn his back on the Pennsylvanians and Pittsburghers who had his, who will be affected by skyrocketing healthcare premiums because he didn't hold the line.
The Democrats caved. The Democrats caved. What are you? I have tried to calm down so many times to record this video, but Senate Democrats, it's official. They are actually voting with Senate Republicans to reopen the government and got absolutely nothing from the longest government shutdown in history. What was the point of doing this in the first place if you weren't actually going to care about the Affordable Care Act? What does getting a vote in December mean for the millions of people who are going to experience an increase in their healthcare premiums of $100 to thousands of dollars? If you were going to cave that easily, if you were going to be that soft, if you were going to, what was the point in America going through this in the first place? What kind of stunt is this? Whenever you guys get on my page and you try to say, oh, I'm so biased, I'm so this, I'm so that, I will say what I actually feel regardless of what party they are a part of. This is not something I agree with. This, try to keep it calm, This makes no sense. That's the nicest it can get.
I never, ever want to hear anyone question me when I say that I fucking hate the Democratic Party. The Senate Democrats just made a deal to end the shutdown with absolutely no protections for healthcare. What was the point of all this? All this, suffering for a month. Like, literally the entire country is behind you, being like, oh, it's the Republicans' fault. We just had, an election where, the Democrats won by, massive numbers. And you're caving? Oh, and I heavily blame Chuck Schumer for this. Oh, 100%. He said that he didn't vote yes on the deal, but it was his idea. And as Senate Minority Leader, it is his job to get his party in line, and he didn't do it. These people are basically paid opposition. They're going to give Trump everything he wants while getting nothing in return.
What was even the point of the government shutdown if Democrats are just going to give Republicans what they want, which is making healthcare premiums skyrocket? What was the point of so many people suffering all across this nation for so many days if Democrats are just not going to keep the backbone that we thought that they all had gathered in the last 40 days? Personally, I will be rather disappointed in the Democrats if they do not protect so many Americans' healthcare. Because if you cannot afford healthcare, then you do not have access to healthcare. That right there is exactly what Republicans want. We also found out in the last 40 days, they don't want you to have access to food. With the way that they have been trying to fight against access to SNAP benefits during the government shutdown. With that being said, yes, be mad at the Democrats who are allowing this bill to go through. Be mad at the ones that are not protecting Americans. But if this last week has taught us anything, is that we can infiltrate the Democratic Party and make a new wave of leadership that reflects us and what we want this party to look like. Do not let it discourage you in what progress we have made in the past week. Use it as fuel to make a new party that you all want to see.
The vote to end the shutdown is a prime example how brats become bullies and bullies become rapists and murderers. When you continue to capitulate and give them what they want, when they kick and scream, you enable their behavior. The 8 Democrats that voted with the Republicans to end the shutdown with no concessions, proves that that's how brats become bullies and bullies become rapists and murderers. People keep expecting the Democrats to be the adults in the room. They say it time and time again. Republicans aren't going to change. They can't help it. This is who they are. They don't care about the American people. But we're going to keep capitulating and giving them what they want without forcing them to change. Without forcing them to come to the table and negotiate honestly. You just gave them what the fuck they want because they said they weren't going to budge. What was the whole point? What was the whole point of the fucking shutdown if you're just going to cave and give them exactly what they wanted? No, well, now we get to honestly sit down and discuss renewing the ACA. They've already told you that they're not going to change it. They're not going to save it. You just gave them what they wanted again. And now you expect them to be adults in the room as well. This shit is fucking madness. We need some fucking Democrats with some backbone. We need some progressive Democrats because the ones we got, fuck them, they suck.
Oh, look, the Democrats are caving. A group of Senate Democrats appear to be poised to end the shutdown. Rumor has it that enough Democrats are going to vote to advance the legislation to a vote, so they probably won't vote yes on it, but they're going to vote to allow a vote. I want to be clear. I in no way defend any Democrats that are caving. However, I think this was the inevitable end to this. It was just a matter of when. And that is for 2 reasons. Number one, I'm pretty sure I figured out why Republicans and Trump were never going to allow any sort of concessions on the ACA subsidies. Specifically Trump. I've been crunching the numbers on this for the past 3 days, as many of you have seen on my lives, and I want to do a full breakdown. I've been working on how to distill it all, but long story short, the Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk deal that was just announced are going to make Trump a lot of money. Specifically and particularly more so if the ACA subsidies do not extend. Number 2, and this is more in general, and this has been, at the back of, I believe, everyone's mind for the past almost 40 days now, whether we want to recognize it or not, you cannot ultimately leverage constituents against Republicans. Why? Because they simply do not care. You cannot leverage the government failing to do things for constituents because they do not care. They don't care if Americans die, starve. They don't care if children are sick. They don't care. They just don't care. They don't care. So you cannot use the leverage of people are going to be harmed by this against Republicans. They don't care if the government is shut down. They frankly just don't. They don't care if it's open and hurting people. They just don't. As long as they are making money, they are happy. As long as people are hurting in a way that they can then weaponize and use down the line, they are happy. All they have to do ever, is wait for Democrats to have had enough. That's all they have to do every single time. And they know that, right? They know that. They know that eventually Democrats are going to make concessions because Democrats don't want planes falling out of the sky. Democrats don't want federal workers to keep working without pay. Democrats want the government to continue existing as a democracy, which is the other issue. You cannot really leverage constituents against people that fundamentally do not believe in the power that their constituents hold. They don't care. Trump has had absolutely zero problem spending as much money as he wanted over the past 40 days illegally with misappropriated funds. ICE cannot legally be paid right now. The funds going towards destroying the East Wing, those are illegally agreed to and appropriated. None of the money he has been spending can legally be spent, but Republicans who hold all the power do not care because they do not care about this country or this government. They want it destroyed because they benefit from that.
Now we know the whole government shutdown thing was always just a big ploy. Let me explain. So first, the news just broke that the longest ever government shutdown is finally coming to an end. They're saying that the broad framework for this agreement was negotiated by Senator Angus King, Jeanne Shaheen, and Maggie Hassan, as well as GOP senators, has now, quote, more than enough members of the Senate Democratic Caucus to advance, according to 2 people granted anonymity to disclose the terms. So then I went to research what was so different about this new bill, and the answer is absolutely nothing. They say that this deal is a pragmatic off-ramp from the initial stalemate, a quote-unquote cleaner CR with some wins for both sides, but it largely kicks the core fights, ACA subsidies, Medicaid cuts down the road without resolution. So why the vote now? Well, it's this. One of the main reasons why the shutdown began in the first place is because the Democrats feared electoral backlash from their base. This is an article from last month, and they said that, quote, it's been clear to them that the American people don't want to see a Democratic Party that capitulates to Republican extremism. They want a party that stands up for people's healthcare, that stands up for our democracy, and that's what they're doing now. And that message worked brilliantly for the Democrats. They absolutely shellacked the Republicans in the elections last week. And now Democrats who won their elections last week are coming out and saying, they can be done with this government shutdown now. Yeah, that big fight over healthcare, that is not even in this new bill. So we had a 40-day government shutdown, air traffic, a complete mess, massive bread lines across the country for absolutely no reason. It's all a freaking game to these scumbags, and the American people are always the one to suffer.
I think it's crazy that some people out here not using the government shutdown in their advantage. Like y'all didn't know that y'all can get past some of y'all bills. Just saying. Like y'all can't call a phone company, your mortgage company, maybe the bank, your auto loan company, your credit card company, and tell them that you're being affected by the government shutdown, which you are. You might not physically be affected, but it is affecting you in some type of way. Just a messenger, but take the message however you want to.
You are being distracted. Listen closely. This whole government shutdown is a big distraction on what's going on behind closed doors. It's extending to another month. They're stating November 28th is going to be the deadline, and that's when things are going to go back to normal. It's a coincidence how the exact same moment while the government shutdown's going on, the U.S.-China trade deal is going on, JP Morgan, BlackRock, and the Federal Reserve just laid out their game plan on the reset that's going on, the financial reset, and cryptocurrency is going to be the front runner for this. Jamie Dimon, the CEO for this major bank institution that's worth $4 trillion, says that Bitcoin, crypto, and stablecoins are real and will be used by all banks. Christopher Whaler, the governor of the Federal Reserve, exposed last week or revealed at the Payment Innovation Conference, which was hosted by them, cryptocurrency will be looked into. They're talking about integrating this technology into their payment network. Don't get me started with this, man. Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, basically stating that the reset is officially here. Crypto adoption is not stopping, and I'm telling you, everything is going digital. Do not be distracted by this whole government shutdown, the U.S. trade deal. It's all a big distraction because the reset's happening and they want you to be asleep. Make sure to share this information with as many people as possible.